This week's going to be a little different. All right, we're going to have it's Club Coaches Week. So we're going to be talking to a lot of club coaches throughout the state, throughout the country. Just talking a little bit about their wrestling club, talking about their wrestlers and their philosophies and all that. So really super excited as a club owner myself. I just want to talk to some guys that are in the same field as me and just trying to figure out what their philosophies are, what they think about wrestling at the club level, the high school level, etc. So hope you guys enjoyed today. We're gonna get Donnie on in a couple minutes. So if you guys got any questions, you guys want to talk, ask any questions about coaching, ask any coaches about any of his wrestlers or anything like that. I mean, you guys are more than welcome to jump in. We are going to do a t-shirt giveaway today at about 8:35. We're going to give one. Donnie has his Yale Street Wrestling Club t-shirt that he has. He's going to give away today. So we're going to be asking one trivia question at around 8:30, 8:35. It's a trivia question about Donnie Defilippis. All right. So hopefully you guys know the answer, so we can, you guys can get that t-shirt. So. Hope you guys enjoy the interviews. Tomorrow, I'm really super excited about tomorrow. We got Coach Mike Krause, all right, from Next Level Wrestling Academy. This guy is one of the best youth coaches in the country, so I cannot wait to hear him talk tomorrow. I want to learn about him, so it's going to be really exciting to do that, to talk to him. Wednesday night, I got Kenny Santucci. He's a strength and conditioning coach, former wrestler as well. He's going to be in the building. We're going to talk to him about strength and conditioning for wrestling and just typical everyday life workouts and some quarantine workouts that you guys could do yourself. On Thursday, we have legendary club coach Steve Rivera from Elite. He'll be in the building, so we're really excited about listening to him. And on Friday, we have Coach Khalid from Empire Wrestling Academy in New York. So tune in, guys. Make sure you guys are in so we can, talk some wrestling. It's a more educational week this week. We're not going to really talk to any wrestlers or athletes. We'll go back to it next week. So this week was just meant for just the club coaches, and so we're really excited about it. So me and Donnie were workout partners as kids at wrestling club at NJAC. So we have a good relationship. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what he's got to say and just talk a little with him today. So how you doing, guys? You guys keep joining in, and we'll talk some wrestling. Make sure you guys have some good questions today too. Got some AC/DC Thunderstruck in the background. Always a good jam out song. All right, we're gonna bring him in now, guys. So hopefully you guys enjoy today. Get Donnie in here, and we'll get going, guys. Connecting. Yo, what's
David?
up, man? You got the champ with you, too. What's up, buddy? How's it going, guys?
Good. We just got a dog.
You just got a dog? Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice, man. At least you got something that you can play around with now when you're at home, huh?
It's a good time for that, with this quarantine and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's like a little babysitter for you, too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Dominic wanted to come on and say hi because you had his favorite wrestler on last week, Yanni.
Oh, Yanni, yeah. Did you check it out?
He did. He watched a little, and Anthony, too. Anthony Ashnault's one of his favorites.
Oh, nice, man. I hope you enjoyed it, man. I'll be getting some more guys on there, so hopefully you can keep listening in. That'd be great.
Yeah.
All right,
awesome,
buddy.
man.
Everybody.
It's good talking to you, man. Hey, Donnie, what's up, man?
What's going on, Dave? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I've been wanting to get you on for a while now. I know you've been listening to some of the interviews and stuff like that. So,
Geez, dude, I got to tell you, I'm a big Howard Stern fan. Okay, I listen to Howard Stern. Been listening to him for a long time. And when celebrities get on Howard Stern, they often say, "Oh man, you made it when you're on Howard Stern." I kind of feel like that now that I'm on your show because you've had so many big names on the past couple of weeks that it really is an honor to be on here. And not just because of that, but because of our history. I mean, we go way back, and we've been friends and training partners for a long time. So I'm excited to be here, man. It's exciting.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, during the quarantine, there's not much to do, so your mind just keeps rolling. Like, how can I talk about wrestling? How can we do something with wrestling? So I know you did one of your first interviews with one of your wrestlers, and that kind of like inspired me. You know what? Let me talk to a couple of my guys. Then I got Jacob on.
Yeah,
And it just kept rolling from there, man.
it's awesome.
It just got easier. Now I got some coaches reaching out to me, asking me, hey, do you mind if you get either they talk about themselves or they ask about another coach. Hey, why don't you talk about that guy, etc. So,
yeah,
we are excited and we're enjoying what we're doing now.
we are too, man. It's great content you're putting out there, so keep it up.
Awesome, man. Well, before we start, I just want to thank you very much. First and foremost for being a frontline worker. All right. A lot of guys don't really know that Donnie's a police officer in Summit, and I know this is a tough time to be a police officer. It must be a tough time on you, tough time on your family.
Yeah.
You got to take care of what's going on in the street and also kind of protect yourself as well. So I want to thank you, man, because not many people want to be a cop right now, and not many people want to be a nurse or a doctor right now. So
true.
Thanks a lot, man. I really
Thank you.
Thank you. So, I know we're kind of in the same boat. You own a wrestling club. You own the Yale Street Wrestling Club in Scotch Plains. With this coronavirus going on, we all got put on hold. So how are you holding up on your end?
It's a great question. I mean, the life without wrestling, it's tough. I mean, it's something that we all love, and to do something, to have to stay in our house and not be able to go out. Okay, that's bad enough as it is, but you want to still at least have something that you love. And that's where sports comes into play, right? And, you always have wrestling. You always, I'm going to be home. At least I can watch NCAAs. But then they took that away, right? And then Olympic trials, they take that away. So it's been really tough. Just being without the sport, and I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. For the first week of this quarantine, I was actually doing lessons and working with guys in my garage. We were closed, but I was still doing lessons in my garage. And after like a week of that, I started to realize this thing took a turn for the worse real quick. Yeah. And then I felt really felt sketchy doing that. And now, I'm really concerned about next season. I'm just concerned about what's going to happen moving forward with our sport.
Well, it's kind of scary in a way because, as bad as I want to open up, for my wrestlers and everything like that, I just feel like too soon may not be a good thing, Yeah. The guy Clef Fretwell that owns a CFP, and he just put a post online about how Georgia was opening up gyms, and he said that he ain't opening up. He's not going to open up until he's ready.
Yeah, and he's down there. I mean, he's in the South. So, you know what, Dave? It really hit me the first week I went to work. They changed my schedule around, so I'm not on a regular 4-on-4 off schedule. They're trying to limit our contact. So, but when I'm out there, we have a major hospital in Summit. So I'm seeing it, firsthand. And I'm not going to lie, bro. It's scary. I mean, you get sent on a call now every time on the radio, they have to tell you, and you're hearing, yep, they have COVID symptoms. So you got to put on all the gear and everything. And it's real. And to hear about all these younger people that are now getting it and dying from it, it's not just the elderly. It's not just people with underlying health conditions. So for people like us, it's scary. You have to respect what this virus is capable of.
So when you go on calls, I mean, how do they know? Like they know that somebody got COVID-19?
Yeah, I mean, I just had one last week where someone died in their house. It's happening more and more.
Okay.
Yeah, they weren't. They died while we were there. And they tell you that they have the symptoms, and what happens is the first aid squad puts on the hazmat suit. The paramedics put on the hazmat suit, and if they have COVID symptoms, they're telling us that we only go in the house if you need to administer CPR, like if you're the first responder, because we don't have the hazmat suits, So if the first aid squad's there first, it's good. They can take care of it. If not, we just got to go in with the mask and everything. And like I said, man, it's definitely sketchy. I mean, my wife is. Every time I leave the house and come back, every time I come back from my shifts, she's like, "Oh man," she's sketchy. She's skeptical of me because she thinks maybe I contracted something, So, so it's definitely tough, but we're managing. I feel like right now the most important thing for me is to just keep working out hard, and like especially doing workouts that are going to tax my lungs. You know, like I'm trying to run sprints and do sprints on the Airdyne and really like tax my lungs, because I feel like if I strengthen my lungs, that's where this virus tries to attack. So if I keep my lungs strong, I feel confident. You know.
You know, I mean, you got kind of like you know, like a positive thing about you being an ex-wrestler on the force is that if you do got to take someone down, you can subdue them, and that's in your favor. But in a moment like this, it's kind of like you don't want to take someone down, man.
You're right, man. You're right. It's like, hey, man, you know, yeah, all these years going up, you're not scared to go hands on with anybody, because that's what we do as wrestlers. But yeah, now you're like, oh man, if I touch this guy, I might get sick. So it's definitely a weird time.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of people don't know that your wrestling club first started out in your garage. I know you still got the garage there. I know you got a lot of mat space and a lot of equipment in there. You got your two kids that are wrestling, and then you work out there. Talk about the advantage of having that room and the wrestling club starting there.
So when we started out, we had no plans of being big. You know, I didn't want to be big. I had the job as a cop, and you know, it was just something that I wanted to do for fun. And it naturally just grew. You know, when my wife and I were looking for houses, we were looking for a house that we could have a wrestling room in, because I always had mats in my grandma's basement, so I always had a place to wrestle. And we found this house in Summit, the town I work in, with a detached 2-car garage, and you know, my wife being the wrestling fan that she is, you know, she was okay with that, and that's where we started. We built the wrestling room in there, and I was coaching at Boundbrook at the time. Craig Dela Cruz was very, you know, and I got pretty close. He won the first state title in 2013, and it was just him and I at first, and then slowly kids started trickling in, and then Dan Hilt, who's you know, one of my drilling partners at Rutgers, one of my best friends, he started working with kids in his garage, in my garage, and we just kind of came together. And after about 3 years, we outgrew the garage, and then we had to get into a bigger space, and that's where we're at now.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have a very similar story to me, as of like starting out in a very small place, starting out doing a couple privates and being where we're being at. I mean, a lot of things that we do seem to be identical, man. The way we think, the way we talk, our philosophies.
Well, we trained together growing up. I mean,
we trained together growing up. We traveled all over the country together.
Yep.
Our families were really close. We had Chris Cafari and Roman Ruderman were our club coaches.
Yeah.
And we spent a lot of time together. So I'm guessing that's why a lot of it rubbed off. I mean, you had you were my workout partner, but I looked up to you, man, as well. I looked up to you when we were working out. You know, even though you're only a year older than me, I was like, you know, I always wanted to kind of do the things you did, you know, that before me. You know, I mean, you got into high school before me. You made a state final. You made 3 state finals.
Yeah.
You won 4 county titles, 4 district titles, 4 region titles. You bounced around a couple schools. You know?
Yeah.
And you had about like 109 wins and like 3 losses. And the only reason why you only had 109 wins is because you had to sit out like one of those years, right?
Yeah.
Easily could have had 130, 140 wins if you didn't do that. But I mean, you were a state champ. You were a high school national champ. You went to George Mason University out of high school. You had an awesome freshman year. You were the top ranked freshman in the country at 141. The awards at the final part of the year. You took second at Midlands. You made the round of 16. You beat all Americans, national champs. So your wrestling pedigree is there. But I know, you know, we talk a lot, and I have a similar situation. I know that your wrestling career didn't end the way you wanted it to.
Right.
And then like you said, like it happened for me. You got into coaching real early. So talk about that.
Right. So, yeah, like it was kind of, when I talk about my career, you know, it is kind of tragic how it ended with, it didn't really end there, but at the NCAAs at Carver Hawkeye, I was beating a kid, I think it was the 5 seed that year, and I was beating a kid from Michigan State in the wrestlebacks, like 8-3, and I blew my knee out. I had to get carried off the floor. That was the first time I was injured. So it was really difficult for me coming back from that. You know, I mean, I had goals of being a 3-time All-American. I thought I could have easily attained those goals. But, you know, God had other plans for me. And you don't realize at the time, you know, I definitely took my talent for granted. I took a lot of things for granted at that age. You know, looking back on it now as an adult, as a coach, I think I would have hated coaching me as a kid. You remember kind of how I was too.
Well,
you know? I mean,
Chris Kafari's on, so maybe he could he could throw he could throw a little bit into that.
For sure, Kafari could share some stories. So
we had Steve Reynolds going on in here.
That would be great. So you know, I took for granted the fact that I was always at the NCAAs and doing well, and as a sophomore, ranked 5th, and then I get hurt at the tournament, and I never got back there. I got injured, so I lost the next year, and then I got kind of homesick and went through some problems, you know, trying to recover from that injury mentally, and I had to move home. I transferred to Rutgers. I lost a year of eligibility because my credits didn't transfer over. So my senior year was all I had left, and I ended up going like 20-4. I beat the dude that took 2nd in the country that year at my weight. But I had some inconsistencies that season, and you know, 2 years without competition, it's hard to get back into it. So I did not qualify for the tournament, and that was like, you know, devastating to me. But it taught me a lot because, you know, I never had confidence issues as a competitor until that senior year, you know, and now I kind of know like what some kids are going through. I know what the guys that are on automatic pilot are going through as far as their confidence goes. And I know what guys are going through now when they're doubting themselves and stuff. So I think it helped me in the long run become a better coach. And I also think that, you know, if I had reached my goals, if I did become a multiple-time All-American and national champ, you know, if I didn't get injured, I might not be coaching right now. You know, I might not have had that fire to stay with the sport, and a lot of things in my life would have changed. You know, I might not have transferred to Rutgers and met my wife. You know, I mean, those
is that where you guys met?
Dominic and Anthony wouldn't be here. So, I mean, those are really like, I wouldn't trade that in the world for anything. So, you know, things worked out. Like I said, you know, God had different plans for me, and I'm totally cool with that. But it did take a while. I mean, you still carry that chip on your shoulder, right?
That's what was going to lead up to our next question. So, like, I mean, listen, you had 3 losses in high school. 2 were to the same kid, and one was to Mark Worthy. One was to another guy, which I know you were a lot better wrestler than. But you had a successful high school career, and then you didn't have the college career that you wanted. Has any kid in your program or any kid ever asked you about that and say, Coach, how'd you feel about not, you know, having a college career, and how do you explain it to them?
Yeah, sure. I mean, people, you know, ask me that all the time. Like, you know, people ask me questions like, hey, you know, I mean, were you ever an All-American? Or, you know, Tom Ryan came to do a clinic a couple times at our place, and he'd say, hey, Donnie, you were a 2-time All-American, right? And I was like, no, no, I wasn't. So to start out as well as I did, you know, and to not be able to call myself an All-American is very tough, you know, very difficult. But like I said, I mean, I can't just sit here and blame the injury. You know, everybody gets injured. And is it tragic the way that it happened, where I was winning and on my way to placing, and then boom, you know, it's just everything gets taken away from you, and it was out of my control. But what was in my control was how I responded to that, and I did not respond to that, and did not treat myself like a high-level Division I athlete after that. I was just turning 21, and you tell me, hey man, you don't have to go to wrestling practice anymore because you got surgery. Okay, well then I'm gonna live like a regular college kid. And I made some really bad decisions, and it made it even harder for me to recover from that injury. So I'm definitely like more open about that now as I'm older, so that kids understand how important a lifestyle is. You know, your lifestyle is so important to succeeding at this sport. And if you don't live right, and you don't, not just train hard, because I trained hard, but I didn't live right, you know, in those years following the injury. And at that time, when you get injured, that's when you know what your work ethic is like. You know, like, it's easy to work hard and it's easy to go out and do those things when your talent is where it is, you know. But now you got to actually work to get back there, and then you see who the true who the true warriors are, and I did not respond well to that. And like I said, though, it's definitely made me a better coach, and
Well, I
I'm
mean,
grateful for it.
and I was going to say that, I mean, again, we had similar. You had a little bit. I mean, obviously a better college career than I had. I'm in the same boat. I didn't do what I was meant out to be. I'll tell you, from me, from firsthand, how I felt. I felt like I definitely did not do what I wanted to do in college, and I think that's what drove me to want to be a better coach.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I still had something left to give. And it was like, if I didn't do it, I want to make sure that all my kids will do everything the right way and that would never happen to them. Do you feel that way sometimes?
Absolutely, man. Like, I mean, we were lucky that we had a good club coach growing up, Chris Kafari. But I feel like I especially coming off an injury, like, you need a supporting cast to help you. That's why they say it takes a village. And, I don't think in college I wasn't surrounded with a great supporting cast to get me through it. And I'm not trying to blame anybody, but I know how important it is to have someone that you can call, like a club, a college program like that. And, Chris, like, it's funny too that we talk, like Chris and I, we talk, I'm sure, Chris works with you, so I'm sure you guys talk a lot about it. Like, he left. When he left, he like NJC was at its prime. Like, he just had you and I. We won a state title in '99, and he left. And he was great. Like, he was probably that one guy that I could think of that I would call if I had problems. But the way the timing happened, like, like, he went to, where did he go? Las Vegas, right? Didn't he move out there?
I think Arizona first, and then
yeah. Yeah, so we kind of lost contact when he left, but I mean, he was so awesome while he was here. And I feel like I think that's what drives me. Like you said, that's what drives me to coach, is I want kids to have like what I feel like I didn't have in college, like the guy that I didn't have to go to in those situations.
So I know you had like he said, don't depress him.
I know. It's on.
Willie said, have us Steve Reynolds. So I know that you had a brief stint and you had an MMA fight. You did some jiu-jitsu. So that was maybe like a way,
yeah,
to let go a little bit, right?
I mean, great. It was a great. That's a great segue into this because, like, when I got into MMA, I started thinking, man, this is everything I ever wanted. I coached for 5 years. And MMA wasn't as big. I remember seeing Frankie at the Holy Cross tournament when he had just graduated college. It might have been like '06. And he was coaching Tom's River. I was coaching New Providence. And he was like, I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing for a living? He's like, yeah, I'm going to fight. And he asked me what I was doing. I'm like, I'm trying to become a cop. And then I remember thinking, like, man, like, I'm like, I got to get a job, dude. I can't keep doing this crap, And look at what he's done with his life. And his career. I mean, he's a UFC Hall of Famer. He really is, like, he's my favorite professional athlete. And my son, he's my son's favorite fighter. And this is a guy who, took a chance on this sport, and he took a chance and it paid off for him. And so when Frankie won, I was really motivated to try it, at least try it, and I did. I got in there. I was around Pellegrino and Ryan Vaccaro, and those guys got me into it. I met up with them at Triumph Wrestling Club. And when I finally competed, I thought that it was going to be everything that I wanted, but it wasn't. I coached for 5 years, and you know what? I enjoyed coaching more than I did training and competing for myself at that point in my life. Plus, I was getting married and getting ready to settle down. So it was good. I'm glad I spent that time in MMA because it actually it gave me what I needed to teach at the police academy now, which is what I've been doing for 7 years. But coaching and making a difference in other athletes' lives was way more enjoyable for me.
So you were coaching at the high school level for a couple of years, then you decided to start doing a little wrestling out of your what do you call it?
The garage.
The garage.
Yeah.
And then you decided to open up your own wrestling club. What was the motivation to do that?
So it's great, dude. I never planned on doing that. I coached at New Providence for 4 years. I coached at Brearley for 1 year. I did a year or two in Summit, and then I did 3 years at Bound Brook. And at Bound Brook was awesome, man. We had one of the best programs in the country. And it was great being in that room and being able to scrap with like some of the best high school kids in the country, being around a really great coaching staff and learning about building a program, what it was like. Like I learned a lot there. You know, I moved into a house. My wife and I bought a house in 2012 after Dominic was born. He was like 3 months old. And so the bills, you know, we had to pay bills now. Now I got a lot of bills. So I started working overtime like directing traffic and stuff and that type of stuff. And, you know, I felt like I was putting the uniform on like every day. And I didn't like it. You know, I wanted something different. I was still coaching wrestling, but only in the season. And I would work out with Dela Cruz in the off season and a handful of kids in the off season. So I figured like the garage, Craig and I were there. Kids were asking, you know, Craig had won his first state title in 2013. So kids were like, hey, we heard Dela Cruz is wrestling over there. Can we get in on that? Like, yeah, you know, it was just me and Craig. So then certain kids started coming in. And then I started thinking, you know, I could probably start charging money for this and instead of working overtime. And that's what gave me the motivation to do it. So it really, like, if it was about the money for me, I would probably make more money coaching working overtime. You know, in the long run, I could probably, by hustling and just putting that uniform on every day, I could probably make more money doing that. But I don't want to do that. And I get obviously more passion out of coaching wrestling. So as long as I can supplement some form of income, it works out for me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, I mean, you open up your wrestling club, Yale Street Wrestling Club. You guys are located in Scotch Plains, New Jersey.
Yeah.
You got a nice little program going on. You got great assistant coaches around you, Dan Hilt, Shane Mallory, Craig Dela Cruz, amongst a bunch of other good, you know, coaches that come in and out of your room. One of the things that when people look for wrestling clubs, they kind of go on your webpage and kind of look at what your philosophy is. I went on your website and I read your philosophy, and I just want to just say it real quick. It says Yale Street Wrestling Club's mission is to embrace and nurture all wrestlers, regardless of their ability, to work with them so they can achieve their ultimate potential. And what I like, the key to Yale Street motto is the concept of mutual commitment to develop a young wrestler who is a successful athlete and coach commit to one another. Wrestling, like any other sport, is a long journey towards success. It requires numerous building blocks. A sound wrestler cannot be developed quickly. To do so with lasting success requires time and trust between an athlete and coach. It requires practice and understanding by the coaches that each wrestler needs to be treated like an individual and not like many. And that's, you know, something that you came up with. And I 1000% have that same motto at our wrestling club. And everything that you said there is true. Talk about what that means to you.
The mutual commitment, it stuck out to you. Like
Yes.
you said, it stuck out to you. Like that's what it was all about. So again, like I'm working with a couple of kids. Everybody just wants private lessons. Everybody's private lesson happy these days, you know? So I'm working with a couple of kids from like Roxbury, from Mendham, from here, from there. From, you know, locally, and Dan Hilt's working with a couple of kids, and you know, these kids I'm meeting with them on a Wednesday. We're doing a 1 hour private lesson, and then I don't see them again until next week, the next Wednesday. And I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they're working on the things that we're working on when they're at their club. You know, I don't know how they're drilling, how they're wrestling live. So Dan and I got together. And we said, how about we do this now? We do private lessons. We do we got to come twice a week. One private lesson where you're working on technique. And then the other lesson is a small group practice where you're drilling and you're wrestling live. And Dan and I came together and said, every kid that works with you has to work with me. Every kid that works with me has to work with you. So there was no like competition between the coaches, you know. We were all doing the same thing and working with the same kids. And at that time, when we first started, these kids were still going to other clubs. We had a bunch of kids, like Apex Kenilworth was here, and we had a bunch of kids we were working with that were from that club. We had some Edge kids. We had some kids, you know, just that would go all over, from all over. And we were just doing private lessons. When we finally opened up in Scotch Plains at our facility, which is actually, it's called Yeti MMA. It houses Yale Street Wrestling Club, Jerry Cooney Boxing Academy, Vitor Shaolin Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and the Underground Strength. So when we moved to that place, we said, look, we're not going to do private lessons with people unless they join the club. And it's amazing how many people have a problem with that. Like, they can't grasp that concept. I've had good kids, real good kids, and their parents like get in touch with me and say, hey, we want you to do a private with so and so. And I would say, okay, well, listen, we only do privates with our members. No, we want you to do private lessons with them. Okay, you have to join our club. Like, it's that simple. Like, I don't understand why that concept is so hard to grasp. If you want to work with me, if you think that highly of me as a coach, join my club, right? I can't justify doing private lessons with somebody who pays a membership to another club, doesn't believe in me enough to not pay a membership to my club, but wants to do private lessons with me. But then there's, a kid that's of a lesser level that has joined my club, and I owe that kid that's joined my club more than I owe the 2-time youth state champ who won't join my club. So I would rather, like I said, I'd rather do a private lesson for free on a Saturday morning with a member of my club than collect $100 to do it with a non-member. But again, Dave, like, I'm lucky to be in that position because of my job. Not everybody is able to do that, and that's something that I'm grateful for, So it's been good. I mean, I think we've built a program because of that. And I think the people that are with us, they realize and they're grateful for the fact that we put them first,
Yeah, I definitely respect all that. I mean, if I could talk about myself, I mean, I made a decision very early in the new wrestling club that we weren't going to really take any drop-in wrestlers. And we got a lot of backlash from that for a long time. But going into it, I knew I was going to get that backlash. I knew that people were going to say, hey, we just want to do a drop-in, or, they want to go to another club or here or there. Kind of everything that you said, and I knew I was going to go through that. And you know what? I dealt with it for 2-3 months, and I got the backlash. But fast forward a year and a half later,
it's paid off.
I've weeded out. Yeah. And every guy that comes to the club, about 99.9% of every kid that comes to the club is a member. Okay. And they're with me 3-4 times a week, whether they're doing classes or privates, but they committed to that. They committed to the program. I committed to them. And that's the only way I feel. And I know you feel the same way, that we're going to go from point A to point Z. Okay. With them. And you know what, man? You want to wrestle other competition? I'll go to a tournament with you every weekend. Mm-hmm. We'll go wrestle anybody you want. Yeah. And we'll come back in the room and we'll go over, we'll watch them film what you didn't do right, what you didn't do wrong, and do that. I wanted to talk about him later on in the interview, and we will. But you talk about someone like John Posnanski that is one of your guys, and he's been with you since the beginning. And he could have easily have went to other clubs and go and say, hey, there's that guy I want to roll with. But he stayed put. He stayed committed. And what happened was people started following him to your club because they wanted to roll with him. And with Shane Mallory, you got big guys in that room. But I get it. I understand completely where you come at with that. And that's why we may not have the biggest wrestling clubs right now, but we do have very well-respected gyms now. And, that's all that really matters to me. I know it really only matters to you.
Yeah, man. I mean, the thing that I think in this, unfortunately, it is a business, right? But we try to run it like a program first, right? Think about a college program. That's how we try to run it. More so than before a business, we run it as a program. And I think in coaching, the most important thing about coaching, and I know that you feel the same way because we've talked about this, and I see you with your athletes when you get emotionally invested. The most important thing is developing a relationship with your athlete and caring about them. And when you run this like a business, it's hard. That gets lost. And I see it in some clubs. I know you do too, where a lot of these guys, all they care about is money, and they care about getting as many kids to their club as possible. And if your goal is to get as many kids to your club as possible, then how could you possibly care about every athlete? You can't. You know, you can only get so big. And there's so many great clubs around. There's enough to go around. There's so many good. There's enough to go around for everybody. You know.
Of course.
So yeah, I mean, I think about that as a program head. I think, you know, as a coach, as a head coach, I mean, we have to make sure that every athlete that's in there, we have enough time to develop a relationship with them and ultimately care about them. And that's why it's very, you know, you get emotionally involved. And that's why guys like you and I, when we have the end of a you know, when the coronavirus cancels kids states, we're devastated because we know how hard these kids worked, you know.
Of course. And they're your guys. They're not guys that jump around everywhere, you know?
Right. You train these kids for so long and you want to go into battle with them.
Yeah. And we were, you know, again, we had 38 kids going this year, man. It was going to be our year. We were super excited, but you know what? You know, they're all young, and we'll be back. And I know you'll be back. So I know me and you, we talk about duels and stuff like that. You know, we put together duels, and we try to put almost 100% of the kids from our program on our dual team before we even decide to even ask another club or another guy, hey, we want to fill a hole. Mm-hmm. Because to me, what's most important about my wrestling club is that I put my kids first, my paid members first, before I let anyone else from the outside come in and go on my dual team. I'm not worried about getting championships. You know what? They'll come. They will eventually come. We will get banners. But I know if I looked in my wrestling room and I looked up at a banner and it said that I was the Virginia Duels, champions. When I look at that banner, all I see is my kids that made that happen.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm not saying, listen, I'm not here to talk about any other club. This is just my feeling, and I only talk about this because I know you feel the same way, you know. And I know you have the same concept that I have, you know. So and our philosophies are very similar, you know. And you know what, you know, we got a nice little thing going on, and I think we have a good future for us. And I'm super excited for next year. Hopefully everything gets back quickly, and we're back to where we're at.
Yeah.
You know, so I want to talk a little bit about Yale Street Wrestling. I want to maybe take a couple questions right now. If you guys have any questions for me or Donnie, we'll take a couple questions. We also, do you have your T-shirt there with you or no?
You know what? I can go grab it. It's up.
Yeah, go grab it real quick. Go grab it real quick. So we're gonna do Donnie has a T-shirt giveaway that he wants to do from his wrestling club. So he's gonna ask a question, and the first person who answers that question will get the T-shirt. He'll get your screen name down, and then we'll get it to you guys. All right. This is his personal T-shirt, but he has brand new ones exactly at his club that he'll give to you. So we'll do it. And then at the end of the show, we'll let Donnie sit down first.
Okay.
At the end of the show. All right, he's gonna do a T-shirt giveaway first, and then at the end of the show, I'm gonna do a T-shirt giveaway. I'm gonna ask a question. All right. So
this is our Super 32 shirt from this year. So you know, any Poznansky fans in the group, it's got John's name on it, Blake's name on it, Devin Capato and Jack Murray. Those weren't the only guys that went, but those were the 4 guys that we knew were going before we had the shirt made. So
nice. All right. My question later on when to win a Cordoba train one is gonna be a lot harder, and there's got to be some of the older people who are gonna have to try to figure this one out. Yours may be a little easier, but we'll ask it anyway. So this is for a Yale Street Wrestling Club T-shirt. All right. So the first person to answer it will win. All right. The question is, who was Coach Donnie Defilippis' first state champ? The first person to answer wins the T-shirt. Donnie's first state champ that he ever coached.
And he did win under the Yale Street banner. He was considered a Yale Street wrestler at the time. However, he is not, you know, he did not win after we came to the new place. So we've only had one state champion since we opened in 2016. So he's a throwback, one of the originals from the garage days. And it looks like Funky Jersey Boys got it.
Do we know who that is?
That, I believe, is a Joey Ortega, who is one of our youth wrestlers, a multiple-time state place winner. And Vincent Jenna also got it, but it looks like Joey Ortega, Funky Jersey Boys, got it first.
All right.
The correct answer is Craig Dela Cruz. We also spoke about him earlier. Craig was a two-time state champ. I was fortunate enough to be a part of that staff at Bound Brook with those super teams that we had. And Marty Gleason assigned me to be one of Craig's workout partners and cornermen. And I cornered him in, I think, just about every high school match that he wrestled. So it was a good ride. And he was.
Well, you know what? We'll let him win, but I don't know if is that fair. I think he kind of knows the back end story of Coach. But
that's a good point. I mean, if you want to, see if anybody else knows, we can keep it open.
Well, I mean, now the answer's out there. Now we can go back to our original question. We had a couple good ones. We had a couple good ones. Kafari said Worthy. No, the question was, who was the first state champ that he coached? Okay, and but Worthy was the guy that did beat him. I know he answered. He wins, but he would know that answer because he goes to your club, right?
Yes.
He goes to your club.
Yeah.
Okay.
Club, yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? Maybe we'll do another. We'll do another question. How about another Yale Street shirt later?
Yeah, sure. We have a couple of them. We have a bunch of them at the club. So yeah.
Okay. All right. My question's gonna be a little harder.
I think I know what your question is. Is it about me? Is your
yeah,
question?
It's gonna be about you. It's gonna be a little later on though.
That's a tough one.
You know what? It's gonna have to be an old head. It's gonna have to be the one that
for sure
wins that one. I don't know if any of the younger guys will know that answer, but that will be for later on. We'll get it. We're still waiting. Kafari's still waiting for his shirt. That's messed up. Well, you Jersey Boys look the same. We all look the same. I mean, come on. I mean,
is that the guy? That's the guy that makes those shoes, isn't it?
Yeah, he does the wrestling shoes.
I've seen that guy. Right, he does a great job, man. You do a great job.
Yeah. Listen, I reached out to you. I inboxed you. I knew I was wrong. I was wrong about. I didn't get back to you. You know, it was my fault. So I inboxed you back. He's gonna do. I'm asking him to do a Cordoba trained wrestling shoe made for us. I just want to get it done. I don't want to wear it. I just want to put it in the front of the wrestling club. Maybe put it in a little box. So if you want to reach out to him too.
Maybe I will, man. He does great work.
Nice Yale Street one, and nobody. You don't have to wear it. Just sit out in front. Anybody want any type of shoes that are made custom made? You guys got to go on this guy's website. He's right here. Dodo loves the kids. Go on his Instagram page and just look at some of the work he did. He did this Ohio State wrestling shoe, and they're my colors, red and black, and they look sick. So I'm looking forward to get my own pair, and I don't want to wear them though. I don't want to wear them.
They look too good. They look too good to wear.
Way too good, man. No, too good. Puts a lot of time into it. So guys, check them out, man. And yeah, we all do look the same. Actually, you know what? This guy's got a beard out to here, okay? Kind of looks like Bin Laden a little bit. So he's a cool cat, man. I like him, man. I like him. You go on his page when he's doing shoes. He don't take no shit from nobody. He's a good guy. Yeah, he does shoes for all the, Jordan Burroughs, Date. He does for all the major wrestling guys. So he does good, man. So definitely look out for him. We'll do the question. We'll do my question a little later on, and then we'll do another Yale Street one. What's a typical day at Yale Street like practice from beginning to end? Like kind of what you guys do?
So it's gotten pretty hectic because the more members that you take on, right, the more time that you have to put in, and you have to spread everybody out. So I would say the spring and the fall are our busiest times. Is that the same for you? You think spring and fall? Yeah.
People coming back, they want to wrestle in the summer and stuff. Yeah.
Summer's a little light. Winter's light with the season. So spring and fall we're very packed. So what we do is we have a private lesson program that we run out of the garage because that's where we can fit, small groups and private lessons. And we'll do that with the high school and middle school kids on the off nights of the high school, middle school practice. So if our high school, middle school practice is Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, then we got private lessons with the high school, middle school kids on Mondays and Wednesdays. And then on Mondays and Wednesdays, we have our youth practice, which my son is in, the youth group, which is getting really, really fun to be with and watch these little kids grow. My son started when he was 5. He's turning 8 this month. And now my little guy's getting into it. So those guys go Monday and Wednesday and Sunday. And we try to fit private lessons in with them on Fridays, but it's not really private lessons, or like a small group, where we have like 4 to 10 kids show up for that one. So we really don't have any days off. I always joke with my wife. I mean, we're lucky that we had boys, because, if we had girls, I mean, well, now that girls wrestling is getting big, so I can't even
really, really good.
So, but yeah, I mean, the boys are they right in with the wrestling. They love it. They're around it a lot. They have like 100 older brothers to look up to, and that's where the clubs really helped us too.
Let me just jump on that, because that was a topic I really wanted to say. I said to myself, if this is one thing I want to talk about, is that, I'm going to talk to Steve Rivera this week. I talked to his son, Sebastian Rivera, earlier this week. I talked about how his dad was coaching him, being his first coach, and the relationship that they had together and everything like that. You got a very unique mindset about your kids. And I talk about it all the time. I say it to you. I say it to other people about you. I say it to my own self, my own mind. You wanted boys. I know you wanted boys.
Yeah.
And you got your boys. You got your 2 boys. And the first thought in your mind already is, I got my wrestlers.
Yeah.
And I know you were super pumped about it, and you were ready to go. You love working out. You love training your kids. You have a wrestling club. You watch little youth kids come through your door every single day. You got really, really high-level youth kids, and you love coaching them. But when it comes to your kids, okay, you have a different mindset in a way. And I'm not saying that you won't do it for other people, because other people make their own decision on what they want to do with their kids.
Right.
And they bring them to you, and that's your business, and you got to do what you got to do.
Right.
But I've asked you multiple times, why doesn't your son compete? I've said that to you a million times. And he's around you, hanging from your leg, both of them now, hanging from your leg on every single tournament that you go to. And in the corner, they're watching, and they're exposing him. And I ask you that question all the time. Why don't they wrestle? And one of the answers you give me, because I want you to talk more about it, is that you kind of want them to ask you to compete. And you feel like there's a certain age that they should be. So talk about that.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm in a unique situation, like you said, because they're around wrestling all the time. Dominic, we threw out awards this year. We gave out our end of the season awards, and my son Dominic actually won the Ironman award for the elementary school kids. And it's not because I'm sitting here saying, oh, I want to get my son an award. I actually don't want to get my son an award, but he really deserved it because he's at practice all the time, because he really has no choice. My wife works the front desk. I'm running practice. So what is he going to do? He's going to practice. And Anthony's now doing it too. So I'm very, very concerned about, too much too soon, too much success too soon. I see it happen a lot. I know you see it happen a lot. And nowadays, like, obviously not everybody, right? Like, you have your kids like David Taylor, Nick Soriano, all these kids grow up. Shane Griffith won like 6 kid state titles. These kids are winning multiple youth state titles, and they're going on to being successful in high school and college. I just think, for me, I have to be more concerned about burnout because I'm a coach myself, and these kids are always with me in a wrestling room. And I feel like right now, these youth at this age, it's 7, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. These titles don't mean anything. The wins don't mean anything. I think they can actually do more harm than good for me and my situation, for my kids and my situation. And like you said, it's not the same for everybody. I just think for my kids and my situation, winning right now can do more harm than good. Dominic is in practice, and he's like, he can't wait to hit a duck under. He can't wait to hit, a boot scoot, a move that we learned, that we worked on in our living room or in our garage when we were in there messing around, or when we were watching videos, on Flow Wrestling. Like, he can't wait to go in and hit a new move when he's wrestling live. So he's really having fun, and he doesn't really quite grasp the fact that if he tries something and he gets headlocked, it's okay. He's going to try it again as soon as he gets back to his feet. And if you throw him in a competition and he tries a boot scoot and he gets pancaked to his back, he may never try a boot scoot ever again because it failed at 7 years old. And I just don't want to take that chance. I'm also taking a page out of the book of, I'm not going to lie, I didn't come up with this. Like, I learned from Defilippis' dad was a wrestling coach in Oklahoma. Dayton apparently did not compete till he was 12. Nelson Brands, Terry Brands' son, did not compete, from what I'm told or from what I've read. He didn't compete until he was 12. The Russians, they don't let their little kids compete.
We heard that.
So they train for 3 or 4 years. So I think that's kind of what I'm going off of.
But you're at a tournament every single weekend, and he's with you. He never once says, "Dad, put me in the tournament."
We've talked about it. I mean, I told him. He's said it, a couple of times. He's asked me. He's like, "Yeah, I want to go in," and I told him right away. I'm like, "Listen, you're gonna go in when I tell you it's time. When I feel like you're ready." And honestly, like, I want him to be ready. When I say ready, I mean I want him to go to a local tournament and be able to manage a match where he can not only win, but tech fall, go to the major, manage the match, where he's able to manage the match, the time, the clock, and everything, and the score, and come out of that match with complete domination. And then we're going to go to Tulsa. I don't want to waste any time with all this other stuff. So I feel like we're really training right now for that moment.
Well, listen, let me tell you something right now. And this is the last thing I'm going to say on that. I talked to some parents who, I mean, their kids are just not ready yet. There he is.
He was listening. He was probably listening.
He was probably listening. I mean, there's some parents out there that their kids, they could see from the jump that they're not completely just ready yet, and but he's ready. And when I say he's ready, is I feel like he has the technical skills to get out there and wrestle match. I'm not talking about win state titles or win national titles, but his mobility and his balance and all that. I watch him. I see him when he's at tournaments. You tell him to work on his stance, or you tell him to do this. I feel like he's ready to go. There's got to be a little something inside of you that's curious to see how he would do out in a real match.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, we're lucky too. I mean, there's some really good kids in the area. We have some really good little kids at our club that he works out with that are a little bit heavier and older. So I kind of know where he's at. Nick Pisano's on here from Eagle Eye. We're lucky that we have a relationship with him, and he's got a really tough kid, Georgie Dipsy, that is a state place winner that comes down and works out with Dominic, and we brought Dominic up there. So it's been great to kind of see where he's at just by working out with those guys. Yeah, I mean, listen, when I go to the kids' states, right, and we leave there going, hey, we had, this many state place winners this year. Last year, I remember leaving going, man, I feel like Dominic could have been one of those state place winners, and it would have been really cool and a really great experience to have. But, I just feel like I'd rather experience him winning an NCAA title than winning a kids' state title at 6, and not that it couldn't happen if he won it at 6. I feel like I want to follow that path of what Brands did with his son, and Dayton fixed it. Dayton fixed his dad did.
Well, he looks like a wrestler. He looks like he's got cauliflower like a wrestler.
Yeah.
He's gonna have some very nice cauliflower with those ears. He's gonna look really good with them. But no, I didn't mean to beat you up on that question. This was something I think that I wanted to know. A lot of people wanted to know, and I wanted to ask that question because if there's any dad out there, if there's any parent out there that is thinking about putting their kid out there when he's 4 or 5, you gotta kind of just, you gotta hear your kid and listen to your kid. Mm-hmm. You kind of see how he feels when he's ready to go out there. I know one of the Russians were saying that if your son can't do proper pull-ups or proper push-ups, they shouldn't be out on the mat anyway.
Yeah, sure.
You know
what it is too, Dave. He still has so much fun in practice, And I feel like, I know you remember these times when we were training and where, you know, especially in college, like when college first starts, you have that preseason where it's like 2 months where you're just practicing and no tournaments. And you can't wait. Once you feel like you want the season to be over and it didn't even start yet. And then finally you go to that tournament and you're like rejuvenated. Well, I feel like that's what it's going to be like for him. Once I see him plateauing, then I'll know, hey, maybe we need to go to a competition just to put that fire under his belly, you know?
Yeah. We got about 5 minutes left. I think we're going to go over the time. Donnie, if you don't mind, we'll restart it and go and just finish
Not
up
all,
for a half hour.
Having fun.
Guys, I want you guys to stay tuned because I got a shirt that I want to give out, and then Donnie's got a shirt that he wants to give out too. So about 8. You know what? Why don't we cut it now, and then we'll jump right back into it. So, guys, whoever's on, we're going to cut it and jump right back into it again, all right? So tune in. We're going to go right back in now, all right?
All right.